as for the NERV 1 here, whoops, a couple of changes, just a couple of changes actually since you saw it last. One has to do with the radiators. I had the radiators down here towards the bottom by the engine with the idea that they'd cool the engine. I've moved them up to here. The main reason for that is I do plan to, when this thing, it's going to be a Kerbin system runabout, and when it comes back to low Kerbin orbit, I'm probably going to be doing some aero braking with it. And I was thinking that these would be too much in the airstream down here, so I put them up here. Hopefully they're tucked a little bit out of the airstream. I'm not even 100% that they're necessary, but I got them there anyway because they look good. And the other thing I added up here at the top are air brakes. Again, we are going to be aero braking with this thing, and I thought these would help. Now, the stock air brakes are pretty fragile. They really seem to be designed for aircraft, not for spacecraft and space planes coming in at orbital velocities, and they blow up pretty easily. But upon a recommendation of a friend, I actually have two versions of the air brakes. I thought I had changed the title of the second one, but I did something wrong. But the idea here, if you take a look, these air brakes are the stock regular ones. Let's move these little windows out of the way. These are the stock regular ones. Come on. And they have a max temperature of 2400 degrees Kelvin, while these ones have a max temperature of 3300 degrees Kelvin. So they will take longer to blow up, basically. But they are a little bit heavier. They are 80 kilograms as opposed to these ones 50 kilograms, and they are a little bit more expensive. These ones cost 1,000 Kerb bucks. These ones I put at 1,500 Kerb bucks. The idea being these ones are made of aluminum and these ones are made out of titanium, so you have a different pair of air brakes. And I'll get into tweaking, see if I can figure out what I did wrong with. I tried to change the description, but it didn't come out. But I wish the stock game did have something that could, you know, like the fins that are on the Falcon 9 booster when the Falcon 9 booster returns, something like that kind of a thing. I know you can get them with mods. Maybe I should look into that, but I thought I would just modify a stock part to give me much the same functionality. So other than that, I think this is pretty much the same deal. Let's see, but I have a bunch of contracts for this thing's first mission. So, contracts. Why don't we take a quick look at these contracts? I got 6 of them. One is to do a supply run to the WKMSS. That's the Warrior King Memorial Space Station. My one and only Kerbal thus far, you know, knocking on wood, that has not survived a mission. But the thing is just to bring some food up to WKMS. This thing has food, so once I dock with it, that really should be easy. That's a pretty simple one. I also have to crew our first space station. I'm getting these space station because I have a couple of mods, both of which provide space station contracts. I'm getting them in funny orders. I got a couple of space stations. I've done a contract to crew space station before. But here's another one. I'm thinking actually once I dock this with the station, I think even though I don't have anybody aboard, I have a suspicion that this one will get satisfied anyway. But the main one I want is these 4. I have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 rescue contracts, all in orbits about the moon. I have to rescue Joe O, Lagui, Pete, and Philippe, and all of these people have to be rescued from orbit around the moon. I did not look at the orbits. There could be some that are like retrograde to each other with 180 degree plane changes. It might not be possible to get them all in one go, but we're gonna try. So that's gonna be this thing's first mission, is first to get up to our space station in orbit about Kerbin. I believe I got Valentina and Bill in there. They've been up there for a long time, so if you've forgotten they're up there, I don't blame you, but they are up there. They're bored out of their skulls. They would love to take this thing for a spin, so we're going to bring this up to the space station. We're going to dock with it. We're going to then head out to the moon and see how many of these folks we can scoop up. That's going to be our plan, but of course we need to get this thing into orbit first. Oh, and speaking of which, I know that the titles of all these are called Asteroid Hunter. I think of these streams in blocks of 9, even though they're one entire campaign, one entire career mode. But I do it in blocks of 8 or 9 streams. Each one have a goal, and the goal of this one by the part 9 is to get an asteroid in orbit around the moon. That's my idea. I am now in part 6, so I do still have some time. But just to show people that I am progressing in that direction, I went into the tracking station. I used the new alarm clock feature that is built into 1.12, and I got some a couple of C-class asteroids and a D-class asteroids that are going to be crossing into Kerbin's SOI in, what do we got, 58 days, 77 days, and 104 days. I'm not sure which of these I'm going to go for, but I figure these seem to be the most nicest targets. There were some B-class asteroids in there as well, but they're too puny. I don't want to go after those. And I thought they'd be good. I looked. I don't have any contracts to rescue asteroids, so hopefully I'll get an asteroid recovery contract. But in the meantime, let's get this thing into orbit. I think that's the main thing. So we have a mass of about 13.7 tons. And, well, let's get into my boosters. Whoops, on my sub-assemblies here. Let's move this way over here. And arrange these by mass. And, oh, well, accordingly here, the mainsail can lift 19.2 tons. This is my mainsail 1-RM2 booster that has a mainsail on the bottom and 2 radial liquid fuel boosters. You might recall that this thing had some adventures. I don't know, this can do it comfortably. I'm thinking with a little bit of cleaning up, I think we can get this to work. All right, so let's see here. Let's actually make, you know what I want to do? I don't want to use the nuclear end. I want to get this thing up to the station fully fueled with all of its liquid fuel. I don't want to use any of it to get to the station. So what I'm thinking is maybe making this into sort of more of a tug at the bottom. So I'm going to take this decoupler off. We're going to swap it with the 1.25 meter decoupler. I'll beat that one because I think that, yeah, that should work. And let's get in, let's get in a 1.25 meter service bay. Where's that one? That one. Open that up. And actually, we don't need the service bay. It's going to be under a fairing. Let's put under there a set of reaction wheels. That will help with the ascent. The big ones. There we go. And a probe body. I don't have the big, I love the, I can't remember what the name of it, the big probe body. I do really like that thing. Maybe some batteries, like this, just to give it a little bit of height. And it doesn't even need an antenna. This should be fine. And we'll configure this so it doesn't need to do any experiments. It does save you a bit of money and a bit of mass when you do that. And then, really, this thing, maybe put some solar panels around it. A few aux stats. There, and that thing should now be autonomous, so that when we detach this big dude here, in fact, that means that we won't be needing this smart part. When we detach this, I can spin this around retrograde and burn it back. Should be good. Now, I think some more strutting might be in order. I think so. So let's take some struts. Let's delete this fairing. It's annoying me. Let's take some of these struts here. Yeah, 4 should be fine. Go that way. So these struts are just here. I don't know if they're necessary, but I think they look a little better if they're there. And then let's see, will this fairing reach over the whole thing? That's what I want to do. We'll go all the way up. All the way up. All the way up. Right up past these. I think we're going to make it. Yep. Nice and straight. And there. And this, how many? 6 sides. A lot of ejection force. We're going to test this booster for sure because this is a I'm a little worried for the stability of all of this, but we'll see what it's like when it goes up there. But the delta V part, oh, except for the fact the staging is completely borked. That. Yeah, this is wrong here. Why did I make a new stage? That feels right. Okay. Before I even get into the NERV 1, the payload, I got 3,900 meters per second at delta V. That is clearly a lot. Let's take out some of this fuel. I think that should do it. You might recall this rocket actually had some adventures a few streams ago dealing with this, with my script. What I think I might do actually is I think I'm going to take out a lot of the fuel out of the radial boosters and then make up for it in the middle. And that's really backwards from what you should be doing. Is it? No, it's not backwards from what you should be doing. No, that makes way more sense. You want to get rid of heavier things first. That is 36. Let's give it a little more. 3757. That should be enough to get up to the station and everything. But the issue that it was getting into with my script is that this staging event was happening at almost the same time as the script wanted to reduce the thrust, and I think it was getting confused. I think those two events are too close together. And yes, the mainsail cannot restart. I can upgrade it, but I gotta, you know what? I think I remember doing this last time and deciding not to, but I got other engines. Would it make more sense? I got the skipper engine. It might make more sense to just put a not as strong an engine in the middle there. I think that makes way more sense. It's still a ton of thrust. These guys are, oh, these guys have their thrust limiter turned way down. And that gives me, let's reduce the payload. No, it makes more sense to, yeah, never mind. What can I do here? Oh, this thing is way there. I'm gonna go with, yeah, maybe a little more. We'll see how this goes. We want all these engines on at the same time right at the beginning. That's why that thrust was so low. That make more. And this guy has still just one ignition. Huh, maybe that's not the best. What other choices do I got? That was the skipper. It only, again, it's something which is, I want something I can relight to do. Maybe, what's the bob? Okay, skipper's thrust is 650 kilonewtons. I don't know why it took me so long to see that. Go away this little menu. That one's 400 kilonewtons. The poodle would be a bad choice. This is the skiff with 300. Maybe the Bobcat's a better choice. Just playing with engines. That has only one ignition too. The skiff? Oh, this looks nice. That has two ignitions, and if I up it, it has 4. That might be, this is really, I think, a middle stage engine. Maybe that would be the better choice. I also have the Kodiak. What does that give me for an upper stage? It's not much thrust, though. Well, it should be okay. I think so. Let's throw this away. Throwing that away, throwing that away. We're going to make this work. That goes to here. We are definitely going to make this work. Okay. I think this is a better setup. That should be good. Okay. I have a mid-stage thrust to weight ratio of 1.05. That should be okay. Launch thrust needs to be higher. We're going to up these mainsails to give me 1.33. So there we go. It's pretty much the same rocket, except I've switched out that center mainsail for this skiff engine. And I think it's a better choice. Save this. I'm thinking this should work. Staging's all good, so I've taught with the fairing, I've dealt with the staging, so I don't need my checklist anymore. Bumpity bump 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 bump. What's... Oh, that's the shroud. What is that? Oh, do I have a fairing under? Why did I put a fairing under here? Okay, let's take that fairing out of the... I might have at some point thought maybe I would enclose all this, but you know what? Let's just take this out of the staging. So I never have to look... that fairing will never get used. It's there for reasons. Alright, the only thing I'm a little concerned with is wobbliness, but we'll see. So let's save this. Let's get into action groups. On action group 5, we're going to stage that fairing. Otherwise, I think I already have... I was playing with the action groups. On action group 10, I have doing all the deployables when it gets into space. I think I'm going to give this a test. Okay. Oh, I could do that. Yeah, Ronald's suggesting why not up the thrust on these side boosters and then just keep this unlit until you get to the higher part of the insertion. That's very true, but I've kind of committed myself along these lines, and that doesn't take advantage of my asparagus staging. It probably would have been smart to do that, but it is what it is now. I think it should be fine. It should be fine. Let's give this a test. So we're going to get out the simulator, and we're going to simulate this from the launchpad. Let's do it. I'm also lazy. When I build something that gets the job done, I'm inclined to, got the wireframe happening. I'm inclined to kind of just do it. Okay, let's run our launch script. So run our launch script. This is the first time using KOS in 1.12, so hopefully everything is good. Lots of really nice new features in 1.12, including like one is the NERV just... What were you saying, Ronald? So anyway, if you're missing that, at launch, this middle engine failed to ignite, and Ronald was the one going, why don't you just ignite it later, it'll be safer, and he's 100% right. You know what? Okay, we gotta terminate the simulation. I'm sure I can get this to work. Terminate the back into the vehicle assembly. Let's do exactly that. And of course, that's Kerbalism. Kerbalism every once in a while just throws in an error, but the errors are more likely the fewer ignitions your engines have. So let's see here. We're going to take this engine, chuck it up to here, take away these asparagus staging hoses, these fuel lines, because they're not serving a purpose anymore. We're going to probably have to up this thrust, but that shouldn't be a problem because those engines are way being underutilized anyway. There. And I'm still got 3,800 meters per second, so there we go. That was a pretty simple change, and I think this is more sensible. Okay, let's try this again. Nobody goes aboard this thing. Okay, there we go. And it's off. Yeah, this thing can carry 6 Kerbals, but the better plan, I think, is to launch it uncrewed and crew it up at the station. Because it would I have no sort of launch escape system or anything like that. Yeah, burned by Mr. Murphy. Right there. Murphy's Law. What goes wrong will go wrong, especially when you start speaking about it beforehand. Alright, so my concerns about wobbliness were unfounded. This thing is fine in that way. Oh, we just had a sudden change in lighting, and That's okay. Oh, I should get into, this is the thing, I've been reinstalled all these mods and settings have to get changed, and one of the, I only like to see active waypoints, so that's waypoint manager there. We'll adjust that. Then I don't see that waypoint that was there. All right, how are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? Still a lot. There's a ton. These big LFO boosters on the side can lift a lot. It just goes to show you, just like I tend to scale small when I play KSP, just build things that can just get the job done with as little mass as possible. But you can just see, like, I have engines, I've not got into the twin bore engines, and there's bigger engines than that, of course, or any of the 3.5 parts, and I don't know, we'll see. With the way I've been going, maybe this might end up being the biggest booster I ever have to build. I don't know. I should just build something mammoth just to build something mammoth at some point. Yeah. Yeah, as long as this thrust to weight ratio is in the 1 range, everything will be fine. So I've been pointing out that the script turns the thrust down anyway. You can see it adjusted it to 1.1. And then once it does this staging, it adjusts it to 0.9. Which I think is because the staging event was so low in the atmosphere before. I think that was the reason why the script was getting confused on me and not getting it into orbit. Now it seems to be doing fine. So when this stages, which will happen right now, see, then it goes to 0.9. So as long as this engine has a thrust to weight of at least 0.9, it's all going to be fine. And we're going to lose the fairing. Whoa! Oh, I didn't put on the clamshell. Whoa, and we got some wobbly-dobbliness happening. Let's turn down the gimbling. We got a lot of flexiness happening there. What is all that? Maybe some struts going up right across this whole engine might not be a bad plan. As well as turning down the gimbling on this. And maybe the authority limiter on this too. Whoops, not backwards though. Here, just turn them right off. That's helping. Now a little bit. I think these struts here, I need to have struts going right up to here. I mean, it's flying fine, it's just bugging me. All right, how are we doing here? We're doing very well. We are almost at our target apoapsis. There we go. We are like 2.2 kilometers per second. Oh my gosh, don't time warp this thing. It's this joint right here. That's the issue. I don't like it when I can't time warp. I just want to... a little bit of time warping. Okay, there we go. Everything's deploying good. And if I put on the brakes, probably when I'm in space, I'll go around with these deployed, and then that exposes that docking port too. Yeah, so 140 meters per second. There's still 681 meters per second left, so we can get up to our station very, very easily. Let's just, I'm going to abort that. We won't bother with the circularization. And then what we'll do is I'm just going to do this staging here. And make sure that that all stages cleanly. A little bit of clipping, but that's never going to hurt anybody. Yeah, it's fine. All right, let's do this for real. Terminate the simulation. Auto strut the NERV would work. Yeah, I think you're right. I used to consider auto strutting a bit of a cheat, but I really probably shouldn't consider it a cheat. So I'm going to auto strut. I'm going to do the NERV and then around the NERV. So we'll also auto strut here. And then we will also auto strut that decoupler. Why am I having trouble finding it? And I'll auto strut this reaction wheel. It might have to do with the fact that this is a tiny little connection for such a huge heavy rocket above it, but auto strut, auto strut, auto strut. There. All right. All right, I think we're going to do this thing. So let's save it and we shall launch it. Nobody. I should do this tourist contract just to get that menu to go away. Okay, so we are going to target our station here. And it looks like we just missed it. We just missed it. Oh no, it's coming up. Never mind. So we will launch into an 80-kilometer orbit. The station's in about a 120-kilometer orbit. We'll launch, so the station's going to be ahead of us. And then we'll catch up to it. Okay, so run our launch script again. Whoops. I can type things properly. There we go. And always wait till that target is just at the edge here of the little birdie icon. And then we'll do this. Okay. Get a good view. And we're off. We'll see if it's a little less. Well, you know what? Let's turn down the gimbling on this anyway. And I did turn down the authority. These fins are probably overkill. In fact, I'm almost sure they are. But, no well. They're not hurting anything. Put this onto our Kerbalism data. All right. Yeah, lots of nice things in one. I got a little alarm clock thing here. I can watch when these SOI changes. I don't like that the title, you have to actually add, just says SOI change. It doesn't necessarily tell you what is changing, making that SOI change. And I guess we'll discover other things as we go. Oh, a maneuver tool. Oh. Oh yeah, that's for creating transfers and all that kind of stuff. That's interesting. I've yet to play with it, but okay. All I did was turn on 1.12 and made sure it worked. I'd done pretty much nothing in it. Yeah, right now it looks pretty good. I like it. A little wobbly once we lose those radial boosters. That's about it. Or once we lose the fairing, actually, that's when it becomes kind of wobbly. Almost all the work is being done by these. Like, there's not a ton of, I've taken out most of the fuel in that middle stage. It's lazy. It doesn't have to do nearly as much as these guys on the side do. All right. Well, still going for a while yet. Okay, lock into the prograde vector. And just about to lose the LFO boosters here. Go. And then we lose the fairing, and then we'll see if we have the same kind of wobbliness, because it was definitely when the fairing was gone that that wobbliness started. But it seems, yeah, it's the wobbliness is done. So just a little bit of auto strutting in there, and that fixed that right up. This big long connection here was the source of everything. All right, on our way to Kerbin Station. Val and Bill, I can guarantee you, are bored out of their skulls, having really been up there doing absolutely nothing. So I'm sure they are looking forward to getting a cool new spaceship and being the first ones to get to fly it. All right, Apoapsis at 70 kilometers. Periapsis is almost out of the negatives. That's always the advantage of reducing that thrust. Okay, I can probably time warp now with all that wobbliness happening. There we go. That looks way better. Okay, we are in space and stuff deploying everywhere. That's what I like to see. We'll put the brakes on because I think it looks better with these extended, though of course once you're in a vacuum they don't do anything. They will just be there for our aero braking return. Okay, we got 140 meter per second burn. Let's get to that. And not meaning to jinx anything again this second time, but now if this engine fails, we can definitely finish this all off on the NERV engine. How do you stick 4 Kerbals on an orbit? I'm getting a question there in the chat. Same way you put anything into orbit, you just need to build something a little bit bigger. Are you talking about configuration of crew cabins to get a crew capacity of 4? I mean, the hitchhiker has a crew capacity of 4 if you stick 4 in a hitchhiker. This thing has a crew capacity of 6 if I had decided to put Kerbals in it. Okay, that is that.